is evolution chaos or order? This is a really trippy question. Is bugs fucking bugs and bacteria fucking bacteria to infinity to create the human eye absolute chaos or perfect, unbelievable order?
Well, it's generally considered, and it's pretty easy. Like, you look at art. Almost always, nature is conflated with chaos, and civilization is conflated with order.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is the main mechanic of nature, is evolution. So, if evolution is the main mechanic of nature, which is like kind of the same thing as chaos, we have to say that it's chaos.
Well, I don't think we're spawned of chaos, do you?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
That's evil. We're not spawned of chaos.
Well,
this
no,
is where it's
chaos
biblical.
isn't evil.
It's neutral?
Yes. In fact, it's necessarily neutral.
Well, this is where, like, it would be biblical, and I would say, we are not of chaos, we are an order, and man, and Gaetano would say, man is not an animal.
Yeah, he would say that too.
And, you know, sometimes I'm in that frame of mind, other times, you know, I get it. So you say chaos is a necessary neutral?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. Yep. Because chaos is what exists without humans. And what exists without humans doesn't have morality. Animals don't have morality. Animals they don't have a very large degree of morality. When animals just act by their instincts, they're not really being good or evil. They're just neutral.
That's super intense, man. We're spawned of chaos. Wonder if we are. Or we're created by a god, which is order. Oh yeah, dude. A bird's nest is super psychedelic. On one hand, you have the bird, the baby bird, total baby, nothing, inability to see anything, weak as can be. And then there's the loving mother comes, and then it's nourishment. Right?
Yes.
On the other hand, the fucking worm
Yeah.
is going through hell. The worm is going through hell. It's getting picked up by a demonic evil little thing with claws, and then bringing it to 7 heads. Going.
Yeah, I never really thought about that angle before, but that's pretty terrifying.
Yeah, that's the most psychedelic shit ever.
I'm sure there's been some sci-fi that's touched on that before, but that's why everything is always neutral. Like, you have an infinite good happening at the same time an infinite evil is happening.
Whoa! Yeah, you do. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's the greatest example of it. 7 heads. Like, that's crazy, dude. The other day I was freaking out. You know how I really have a high rebellion and I want to tear down society?
Yeah.
Well, the other day I saw this weird thing. I saw myself tearing down the chaos because I see everything. There's an order to this world right now, but I see it as flawed, you know? So I saw myself tearing it down, and I literally saw the fabric of the world, like, turn into chaos. And, like, just demon heads morph out of the walls.
This is more interesting.
Yeah, I'd say fucking so.
That's a really good dream. I like that.
That's not a dream. I was just watching TV.
Okay, I thought that was like a dream.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Okay.
So, like, I don't know what it comes from, but, like, I just see things. There's an order to this world, but I want to change it. And I see, maybe it was something more powerful telling me, hey, man, don't fuck with this shit, because it can get fucked really fast.
Well, that's all true, of course. Of course,
There's an order.
You have to change order to renew it. If you don't renew an order, it dies of its own accord. So you do need to change an order, like, continuously. You need to, like, make orders better.
Mm.
And that actually involves adding into chaos to the order.
Dude, I saw that.
Well, that's like... The other thing is, of course, if you don't change it carefully, you can't just collapse the order.
Into chaos, like Rome.
But this is actually the hero's... This is the medicine man journey. The medicine man story is like an archetypal story. You live in a village. The hero lives in a village.
Mm-hmm.
eventually the hero wants to go to adventure. Eventually gets a call to adventure. Like there's usually the classic one is there's some elixir, which is good, is a good thing to have, that elixir.
Mm-hmm.
But usually what happens is the hero refuses the call, and thusly the village burns down, or like the village gets destroyed. Something bad happens because he refuses the call.
Mm-hmm.
And then the hero goes out into a different land that's like strange, like magical, the realm of magic usually, or whatever, something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The hero goes around in there, has his adventures. There's a couple of things that are pretty common, like temptations and rebirth and symbolic rebirths. So they get the elixir, then there's the symbolic rebirth. He goes back into the normal realm, saves the village, delivers the elixir. So basically, the village is your order that you live in. The realm of magic is chaos. Inside chaos, there's something that makes your order better, that improves your order. That's the elixir. If you don't go get the elixir, something bad will happen to your order. It's inevitable. That's the refusal and the burning of the village. Yeah, that's
a great one.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the story of, I don't know what his name was, but there's a guy that gets swallowed by a whale, gets dragged down the depths of hell, and it comes out he's more of a man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a thing that's...
Well, yeah, I mean, I literally saw that, where I saw trying to tear down the order now in order to put what I see as a better order. But I saw the fabrics of order as a metaphysical fabric being teared into the fabric of chaos. It was fucked.
Well, yeah.
So it's that.
Yeah, actually, you should probably think about that. And I don't know if you always think about how difficult it is to change an order, like how
it's really
how
hard.
hard it is on what the order itself to change it.
It's possible.
Like, because that's what you have there. It's like war is not fun, and that's what the demons are. Because the thing is, when you take out the order, everything comes in.
It's like in World War II, like World War I even. World War I, Europe literally created hell on earth. Literally.
Yeah.
Like literally, there was no life. Everything was dead. There was no grass. There was smoke and smog and fire and dead bodies everywhere. That is quite literally, with people wearing little demon faces to live in the gas. It was literally hell on earth. Europe created trying to put in new order. And what did they do? They really did. It's fucking intense. They really did put in new order. What was my point gonna be? Yeah, war is the demons that tore into my apartment.
But it can be even more general than war, because at the end of the day, what it is just the demons come out of every crack. Because when you crack open an order to try and fix it, if you're not careful about how you do it, the chaos isn't just at the edges or the fringes; it's everywhere. Everyone feels.
Is everything neutral?
Everything neutral? No.
Yeah, but let me say why.
Why?
Okay, you're gonna have an answer for it based on how confident you said nah. But because is war spawned out of everyone trying to create order through chaos, and then sometimes they just get stopped in the chaos part.
Well, that's kind of why chaos is neutral, but...
What if Hitler really was going to create a new order? Well, we're not going to say that.
It doesn't make it good, because you can... there's an imperative to want to do good. There's an imperative to try and do good. There's also an imperative to be right about how you're trying to do good. There's an imperative to not convince yourself of something so stupid that you kill
and justify the means. Gotcha, yeah. 6, exactly, 6.
That's not... Yeah,
I know.
It's not really a good figure, honestly, but it is a figure everyone says.
Order and chaos. Yeah, I've been tripping about order and chaos the past 2 days. That was a pretty good articulation we had there. Let's look at some of my other notes. Mirrors, jewels, and sex. That's it.
Were you watching? Were you listening to Janis Joplin at the time?
And/or Red Hot Chili Peppers. No, but that's in your mind. So basically the point of that was...
The mind that's in your mind.
Was that what I said?
You said that mind that's in your mind. Well, when you're doing the things that mind goes in your mind and it does all the mind stuff.
No, Janis Joplin comes in your head whenever you say jewels and sex. Your brain pops in here. So the point of this was, mirrors and jewels are incredible wizardry. You put on a necklace, you act differently immediately after putting it on. Imagine being on heroin and putting on a emerald bracelet and an emerald necklace. You will literally think you're a fucking god.
Yeah, I suppose.
And then you will look in the mirror and go...
Okay.
It's a very slight mental wizardry powerful thing. It affects you. And then the mirror does too. You pound your chest in the mirror, or you can be sad in the mirror and scared of yourself. And then somehow I got to sex from that. It was about how sex is incredibly shattering. It's in our DNA, obviously, for being chimps until now. Billions, millions, I don't know, of years.
Yeah.
And I'm having another thought.
So, and I had a response
Anyhow,
to your earlier
so
thought, so.
okay, get to it. It's incredibly shattering. When you think of or have sex, the emotions are incredibly shattering. We have Mangatano undefined archetypes of the personalities that create us.
Okay.
Maybe they're just relative to our family and everyone else's family. But when you are, for example, should I watch porn? The thoughts you have fighting over that decision are incredibly intense over fighting over other decisions.
You mean intense compared to when they fight over other decisions?
Yes.
I suppose.
And then when I actually watched porn when I was tripping, I saw some intense shit. I saw me inside of Dad's body with a glow guy also there banging a chick.
Well, that's pretty fucked, man. I gotta tell you stumped me with that one.
So sex is incredibly shattering. It's throughout all DNA of all of human history, and good and evil's involved in it to such an intense degree. It's incredibly shattering. All right, what were we going to say about the other point about heroin and emeralds?
Why don't I just do that? My thought for that one quick.
About heroin and emeralds. Go.
So here's the thing. There's this thing. It's first of all, you might know there's this thing called peacocking, which means
like cowboys throwing wears his cowboy hat.
Yeah, because that's pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
You know, because you're just trying.
Yeah,
to
I know.
like,
He would go to parties. He even used the phrase himself when he was on Joe Rogan. I would go to parties and I'd wear the hat to peacock because I like to get in fights and get girls.
Yeah, and yeah, well, yeah, okay. So peacocking. Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
There's this so a necklace and stuff like that is a really easy way to peacock, right? But there's this. Here's the thing. I think the way you dress is a method of like sort of broadcasting your identity to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and I think if you dress in a way that's it's the same thing as
that's
like
why the Amish and Muslims and stuff like have a religious dress code. It literally causes you to act slightly the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, uniforms do cause you to act slightly the same.
Intense.
It's true, but
like football uniforms, you know.
Yeah. But it's like the same as architecture. The way you build your villages and your houses. Mm-hmm. It's like a broadcasting of the communal or familial identities. And it's the same thing. And there's like a little bit of that in the way you dress. And so if you dress in a way that really broadcasts a very powerful and cool identity, like something that's just way like if you like put a bit of effort in and do something really interesting, that really then you are enforcing then you have this radius of your identity around you, so you just walk around, and whereas before you were just kind of having
so
this
good at
identity
articulating
silently,
these things.
now you feel the identity, you know everyone else is feeling it too, and then
it's like putting your mental into a physical form.
And then
you're so good at articulating these
but
thoughts.
the thing about like you can also just wear gold and stuff, and this is like the equivalent of just paying to have the most like that house that the Polish guy, right? The Polish guy, you know what I'm talking about, Ben
Mall,
Ben Mall.
Well, he's not Polish, but he's Jewish.
He's Jewish? Yeah, that makes more sense. The other guy's the Polish guy. Yeah. So he has that house.
Yeah.
Well, like it's like the equivalent of that. You can just put in a lot of gold, and it's like you get that a lot, but it's not about broadcasting your own specific identity. It's just about having this like objectively cool identity that you can buy. So you can do the same thing with your house. You don't have to make like a cool house that just broadcasts your familial or communal identities.
You can just have an objectively cool.
Yes.
Which is weaker.
Yes. So you can do the same thing with gold necklaces and jewels and stuff.
Which is weaker. Yeah, I'm really starting to crystallize the reservoir of prior knowledge. I really think it's an interesting thing. It builds everyone's personality. It's cyclic. I haven't explained the cyclic. It's cyclic in the sense that how the reservoir presents itself to you is based in its own prior knowledge.
Yeah, because you don't...
Its own prior knowledge. What were you going to say?
Because thoughts have their own language, which is developed from earlier thoughts. Theoretically, it eventually has to come from biological urges, because that's the only thing we all have by onset. So we code our thoughts in what we already know. We don't just develop thoughts in their own sense. We code them in what we've already seen before.
And is that the pool then?
I guess. It's definitely why the pool states itself as a pool.
And it's come out a lot. It came out in the drawing with the girl. Remember, holding the pool?
Oh, yeah.
So it's something that I really want to articulate.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. There's something feminine about it for sure. Even like the words I wrote last night were moist and wet and dark, which is a feminine cave symbol. We're gonna put it at.
You're gonna leave it at that.
But it's an interesting concept, and I truly want to articulate it. I was seeing this red thing, and I was seeing how ideas move around it, and there were like little icons floating around, and they were fighting with each other. And let me see what I wrote. This is really cool. I watched the ideas float around in my brain as images. Oh wow, look at this. It was even more cyclic. So I watched the ideas float around in my brain, and I wrote, the reason that it was presented to myself as images floating around in my brain is because I had been recently working on the podcast where I have images. You understand? The podcast is thoughts correlated with images.
So you're kind of in a mode of like trying to make your thoughts.
So it's extremely cyclic. It's unbelievable. The cyclic of prior knowledge is intense. And they were created in response to stimuli, and they fought with each other to be considered more or less truth to me. So they would literally fight with each other to be considered more or less truth with me. So like I would have ideas, and which one I was like, all right, this one's less truth. This one becomes more truth to me. It would expand and contract. It was super intense.
Yeah.
And before I saw this exact same metaphor, but for the personalities, which me and Gaetano understand.
All right.
I don't know how to find those yet.
Okay. Should we stop the?
No, not yet. Those are my two most unarticulated thrusts in my brain. That's supposed to say thought. Fractal prior knowledge pool causes this, okay? Hold on. Some actions cause things you wanted to happen even though those things don't to do what you think you wanted. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. I remember what that meant. I can't define it though. Personality decides how right things are. So the prior knowledge pool was affected by the personalities. They helped decide how right things are.
Yep.
I called prior knowledge pool a self-fulfilling prophecy.
All right. Can I throw in something here?
Yeah.
I've conceptualized like this thing before, where because you don't have a super large amount of control over your prior knowledge, sometimes I conceptualized it. I guess I sort of conceptualized something like that as a separate self. Like, I don't remember exactly how I put it now. It's been... I don't remember how I put it. But I put it as that there were... But I put it as a different self. I put it as, like... There's, like, an ego that's acting, and that's using the original meaning of ego, not egocentrism. There's an ego that's acting, but then there's also, like, a, what's the word I used? Whatever. There's another part of you that's an accumulation of all the ideas you've developed over your lifetime.
The pool.
Yeah, well, it's like mostly natural and nurtural. It's not something you really have control over, but like,
No, yeah, you don't.
but you a lot of the imperative doesn't rely on that. The imperative is like your ego can interact with your ego acts for this other thing to develop it towards a good rather than letting it just fall to fallacy and wrong things. It's about as uncrystallized as I get.
Yeah, me too. Alright, I think I kept realizing thoughts like A, B, or C, like personality split or prior knowledge pool, but realizing that, okay, self-fulfilling prophecy, got it. When I saw thoughts that made me freak out, I saw an icon that represented my mind being blown. It was a little explosion before I even realized my mind was blown. And that is an interesting thing because that touches on free will in a pretty intense way because it happened, or I was just really stoned and my brain wasn't working.
I've said before that you know things before you know things, almost always. So that's not that surprising to me.
Dreams happen when you are naked and in the dark. You have to be in a childlike phase for that.
Okay. That's interesting.
And you're in the dark,
true, though.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's true because
Well, it's just often true. And it's also you're in the dark rather than the light, which is interesting. Because we sleep in the dark.
Well, yeah. Well, and we
Our
also
subconscious
conceptualize
is
the
associated
subconscious as being dark.
with the dark.
Yep. Especially you can get this in Ra's Journey. Oh, Ra's Journey is useful for that. So Ra's Journey, it's the journey. It's the journey the ancient Egyptians used to say that the sun god Ra undertook every night, starting with the sunset, ending with the sunrise. And in ancient Egyptian, it's used as like it's sort of the journey through the underworld, right? But it's got a very subconscious feel about it.
If you want to see more of these videos, please like, share, and donate. My original concept for these videos was for it to be animated with two little trippy looking characters representing me and Ben or G-Man in this ethereal blue plane, which was supposed to represent a general setting that also portrays some amount of otherworldliness to it. And as the conversation changes, so do the characters and so do the setting. So by the end of it, I have 4 arms, Ben's an alien, and we're at the bottom of the ocean, or we're in space, or ancient Rome, or, talking to Abraham Lincoln. And I think this is a really cool fucking concept. And if you want to see it become a reality, please, please donate. It would really help me make this come true. Right now I work like 45, 50 hours a week driving forklift, and I can't focus all of, or really much of my time onto this at all. And we have other projects on hold right now because we have to work. Maybe involving music, maybe involving comedy, who knows. But if you want to see all this shit come out, links to our Patreon are in the description.